righty. Welcome everybody to episode 17 of Eat, Drink, Write, an Urban Fantasy Podcast. Last week I misspoke and said it was episode 15 and it was really episode 16. So we are episode 17 now.
All right.
First, how has your week been?
It's been pretty decent, except I'm experiencing this thing where like I'll open, I wanted to start working on my first book because I was rewriting it, and I made the mistake of opening a different work in progress, and now I want to write that one. And that's one that I've been planning since 2014. So it's been there for a while, and every time I go back to it, I'm like, yes, this is the one I want to write. And eventually I put it off because I'm like, no, I want to be a better writer before I write this one, but I don't know. I'm probably going to go for it and see how it works out.
I feel like you said that you did a bunch of writing. I saw one of your tweets saying that you wrote a lot this week.
I did write a lot this week. I think I mentioned it actually last week because I think it was the week before.
Oh, okay.
But I did write more on that one this week too. And that's on my my first book rewrite that I've been doing. And I did get a lot done on that one, and I was still working on it, and then I opened up my other one, and now I want to do that one, and then I started thinking about the second book of the book that I just anyway. It's been a week. So what about you?
Well, being that we live in Georgia and everything's on the brink of opening back up again, I have been working really hard trying to get all of my court stuff back into position. I'm not real sure how that's going to work with people in the courtroom. I'm a little worried, but I've talked to the chief judge about it. He is thinking about it. He's talking to the Supreme Court, chief Supreme Court justice. So we'll see how that goes. I just don't know how you can cram that many people into a small place like a courtroom and be safe. So I don't know. I did work on face masks this week, like I said I was going to, and I broke my sewing machine.
Oh no!
So I made one child size one that's ready to be sold, and that's about it. So I have another. Right. I know. I have another sewing machine that's a very old one, so I've pulled it out. I'm going to see if I can figure. There was something wrong with it before. That's why I stopped using that one. But if I can get it fixed, I'm going to make more, and then if I can't get it fixed, I'm going to order another one. Your father is not super thrilled with that, but
I bet he's not.
So anyway, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a tea. It's a black tea, and it's actually one that Courtney brought home from Scotland for me.
Oh.
So it's a Highland blend black tea, and it's delicious. So nice. It's really good.
And what are you eating?
This morning I made wild berry muffins, and lately with the pandemic and everything, I've been getting up later, and I get up and I enjoy my tea, and then I don't eat breakfast and I eat lunch instead, so it's kind of like a brunch thing.
Yeah.
But this morning I was like, I want muffins, so that's what I made, and I figured it'd be good for the podcast too.
I think we're kind of on the same wavelength because I'm drinking tea and eating blueberry biscuits.
Wow.
Or keto blueberry biscuits. There are bites out of that one. But I took pictures before I started eating. And the tea I'm drinking out of our Eat, Drink, Write mug is a black tea. It is called the Prince of Wales.
Oh.
And it's my new favorite from the store tea. I still love a lot of the Peacock Tea Room teas.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But this one is my favorite one now. I was Irish breakfast tea, and before that I was English breakfast tea.
Yes.
So now I'm Prince of Wales tea.
I feel like you're getting like somewhat fancier as you like. Prince of Wales just sounds so fancy.
I know. I was really worried I was going to be one of those perfumey ones, and it's not. It's a really good one. It might be too light for you.
Yeah.
You like the heavier, the darker black teas.
I do in the mornings, but I drink all kinds of different teas like throughout the day because I try not to. Well, I say I try not to drink caffeine late, but sometimes it fuels my writerness. So
yeah,
I will drink caffeine at night, but a lot of the time I'll drink red teas or green teas or lighter white teas kind of thing. So
yeah. I figured it's a little too early to start drinking. Even though it's afternoon, I don't know. But I figured I would be sober for one of these podcasts for a change.
Why?
Why? I have two jokes.
Oh. All
while
right,
I
go
was
for it.
while I was preparing for this, I came across these,
Hit me with them.
and they're probably not funny, but to me they were funny. So,
I'll laugh. It's okay.
okay, what do you get when you cross a writer with a deadline?
What?
A really clean house.
Fair. That's actually very true. Yeah.
And the next one, did you hear the one about the pregnant woman who went into labor and began to yell, couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't, didn't, can't? She was having contractions.
I knew that was coming.
Okay.
Those are really terrible.
Well, that's my sense of humor. So today we're going to talk about brainstorming, that sparking that creativity that helps you get started. So I think you have a definition. So you start.
Yes. All right. So what is brainstorming? Brainstorming is a pre-writing exercise to aid in the generating of ideas and thoughts before you actually start outlining or drafting your writing piece. So basically just coming up with thoughts and ideas that you might want to put into your work, and you're just writing those down, whether they make it into the work or not.
Okay. And then what was your next bullet point?
Oh yeah, I also have, how can I brainstorm? Because I feel like, everybody talks about brainstorming, and I feel like people generally have an idea of what brainstorming is. But there are many different ways to do that. So I was, how can I brainstorm? And there are many different ways to brainstorm, and each person will be different, which I think is why this is going to be a great episode, because if you only know of like one general way to brainstorm, like making an outline, that might not work for you. You might have more luck with a different method. So I think that's why I was like really interested in covering this topic.
And I'm hoping that our listeners will send in the ways they brainstorm too, because I'm always looking for new ways to spark that creative brain.
Yeah, me too.
So I thought about, why do you brainstorm, which is similar to what is it? It's to try out a lot of ideas, structure them, hope that they spark some fresh connections. It's trying things out. It's not anything set in stone. That's the whole point of brainstorming,
right?
Is that you're just going through ideas, and you're not bound to anything that you come up with in a brainstorming section.
Yeah.
There are different times that you can brainstorm too. So it could be before you start your novel altogether, before you even start the novel. It can be as you write, you get stuck on something and you need to brainstorm this particular plot point or whatever. It can be about the ending, which is when I do a lot of my brainstorming. Yeah. I always look for that epiphany that we talked about, and brainstorming is what brings that on. And it can be after you finish. After you've finished and you're like, there's something not quite right, you can brainstorm about how to fix plots and plot holes and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I have noticed, when I first started writing, I was more of a pantser than I was a plotter. And now I'm a mixture of both, but I lean more towards plotting. And I've noticed that as I've grown in my writing over the years, I have definitely shifted to brainstorming at every single step of the book.
I think so.
I will brainstorm before the book. I brainstorm during it because I get stuck, and then I brainstorm the end because I feel like I suck at endings, and then I re-brainstorm all the way at the end, like after I'm finished with that draft, and go back and fix it. So
yeah, because you rewrite too, so there's a lot of brainstorming, I'm sure, after your first draft on how to fix and how to rearrange and what to take out and that kind of thing. Brainstorming isn't just limited to plot lines and that. You can brainstorm plot lines, but you can brainstorm characters and magical systems and world building. Brainstorm the rocks that you're going to throw at your character, the conflicts, the scenes, the ending, like I said. So let's talk about some tools, and I think that you start with that, and then I'll jump in if I've got anything different.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing that I came across was using a large poster or like easel paper, just like a giant sheet of paper. And I went ahead and added on my own, which was the whiteboard, because I love the whiteboard. I will live and die by my whiteboards.
And I think it really is conducive to brainstorming, the whiteboard, because it's so easy to change and rewrite and all of that. So I think the whiteboard is a really good brainstorming tool.
Yeah, I think so too. It's so good because, well, one, I can just take a picture of, things that I end up brainstorming on it, and then I have that forever, and I can erase it and start a new brainstorm. So I have all those notes, and it's easy to clean up, and it's easy to change, and it's easy to just write down as many ideas as possible and keep those ideas and all of that. So I live and
Okay.
die by my whiteboard.
All right.
Next, index cards, post-its, colored paper and markers for like color coding and organization, pictures, photographs, drawings, anything that reminds you of your work, anything that you could use as a sort of storyboard, which I'll get to later. Just those kinds of materials can help. As if you get those all together, then you can definitely work on brainstorming and getting your story down and all that.
Yeah, and I think the one thing you didn't mention was your computer. I mean, a lot of times I also read during this that this is a perfect time to handwrite things, like you had always said in previous episodes, that it slows your brain down and makes you think. So this is a good time to handwrite on those index cards. I don't do as well, plus I can't read my handwriting after I've written it, so having a whole bunch of index cards saying gibberish is not necessarily good for me. So I do brainstorm on my computer in my Word Perfect program.
Yeah.
And I'll write ideas, and then as I'm going, I can always go back up and add in a little hyphen and go, what about this? So I use my computer, and I do use color in the computer. I'm a very visual person, so I use color fonts and different fonts because that's a visual thing for me. But otherwise, I have the same thing, the sticky notes, which sticky notes work real well if you don't have a whiteboard, but just a blank wall. You can put sticky notes up there and still see it without it being, too close to you. You can step back from it and use sticky notes on the wall. Highlighters, you talked about pens, but highlighters is another way to add color. Color really helps me separate things out.
Yeah, me too.
And then for the pictures that you were talking about, pictures and drawings, Pinterest is my source for that.
I love Pinterest. I love it so much.
And then our next topic under this is the setting.
Yeah.
Where do you go to brainstorm?
Right.
And I think you had similar things, but the music in the background.
Yes.
Comfortable clothes. You don't want any distractions. So you want to be comfortable. You want to have a place where you aren't distracted. Or if, like, some people work really well in a library where it's that background noise, it's
yeah.
But to me, that would be distracting.
I work well in other places as long as I have my music. Otherwise, I would get distracted. And I use my noise canceling headphones, and it just blocks out everything. I can't hear my cat meow at me. I can't hear anything that's going on. If I'm in a coffee shop, then it blocks out that. So
your cat's been going back and forth behind you on the screen. I don't know now.
No, he's sitting by the front door.
Okay, because he had gone behind you into that room behind you, and I was like, oh, I saw his big old fluffy tail.
Oh yeah, he's fluffy.
Comforting snacks. You don't want anything to give you an excuse to walk away from this. So have snacks there, have drinks there. I prefer the alcohol, but it could be tea or coffee or whatever.
Yep.
So that's kind of my setting for brainstorming, and usually it's at my computer. Whereas if you use your whiteboard, I'm assuming your mindset is somewhere else. Your setting is somewhere else.
Yeah. Which, I can use my whiteboard in any room, but it's always against a wall. I always have them. I have 2 whiteboards that you got me for Christmas one year. And so in total, I think it's 6 to 8 feet of whiteboards that I have. And I just lean them against a wall and I sit in front of them. So I'm not facing anything else. I'm not facing my TV. I'm not facing any other room. I could probably put it against I have 2 double door windows in my office, and I could probably do it there and not get too distracted. But most of the time it's against the wall. That way I have the least distractions, and I sit on the floor because then that way my whiteboard is taller than me. It takes up my field of vision. I can see everything at once. I'm on its level. I'm comfortable because I can sit however.
I bet you could set it up outside on your deck and sit on the floor of the deck and have it leaning up against your rails, and then you'd still be outside to have that nature feel, which I think is a good
Yeah.
creativity spark.
I have actually done that before, and then it started raining on me, and I haven't done it since. So
Yeah, we're getting to the point where it's springtime, so
yeah,
maybe in the near future.
I think so.
So was that all of yours? We were talking about setting.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned the noise canceling headphones help me a lot because that just eliminates anything that can grab my attention. I did find something interesting that I haven't done myself, which is, ignite your sense of smell. So light a candle, or which I know doesn't work for you. You don't like scents,
No.
but like incense and candles can get you thinking about things in a different way. Or if you have smells that remind you of memories, or if you work better if you can smell chocolate, or if you work better if you can
Cookies.
smell nature. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting one because I've never considered that before. I never really thought about how smell can make me think more. So I'm probably gonna have to try that.
I like the idea of unscented candles. There's something soothing and calming about a candle.
Yeah. No,
That flame.
it has a certain ambience.
It
Yeah.
does. It is very soothing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that too. Uh-oh, you just froze. Sorry guys, our computer froze, so we had to splice that there. We were talking about setting. And did
Yes.
you finish? I think you might have had a few more points, or I don't remember.
I know I was talking about smell, and how activating your sense of smell can kind of help that, and that was interesting to me. But no, that's about it. Lighting that encourages brain creativity is also good. So if you work better in dim lighting, then dim all your lights, and if you work better with bright lights, then do that and all that kind of thing. So
Yeah, your dad, I like the really bright lights. For some reason, that just really makes me, I'm ready to go. And he hates the bright lights, and we share an office. So it's kind of interesting on what we had to settle with. We came up with different lights to use that are bright enough for me, but you can angle them away. So they're all angled towards my side so that he can be on the dimmer side.
yeah.
But yeah, I prefer the bright light. What about you?
I actually prefer dimmer. Yeah, I prefer dimmer.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, I think your next point was mindset. So you start with mindset, and then I'll add on anything that you didn't say that I have.
Sure. Yeah, so with mindset, the point that I really wanted to get across is that like everything is valid. Everything that you write down, all of your ideas, any little bullet points that you write down, they're all valid, whether you end up using them or not. I think they're important to consider. You really want to look for quantity over quality in the brainstorming stage. Get as many ideas down as you can. I've found that like I use bullet points. I love bullet points of ideas and stuff. So like I'll just bullet point after bullet point after bullet point, and I'll get to one and I'm like, well, that's gross. I hate this. And I'm like, oh, whatever, just write down the next one. So then I keep going and keep adding on to that. And like, obviously that one where I was like, like I'm going to toss that out. But I think it's important to put it down just because that could encourage a different idea. Don't edit yourself while you're brainstorming. So don't worry about it. Kind of like the same idea. I kept that bullet point. I didn't go ahead and erase it. I just left it. Don't edit any of the ideas that you put down. Just add a new bullet as a new idea. Even if it's similar, just go ahead and add it as a new bullet. Let's see. Think outside the box. So write down even the weirdest ideas you have. They might be super weird. They could be super out there, but write it down. That could still end up being useful in the future. I'm pretty sure I have had some weird ideas that have worked out that I've written down in brainstorming. So I like to write down all the super weird ones, and I'm like, that's weird, but I can make it work. Like I can make it do a thing. And don't leave out ideas, even if you think it does seem stupid. So same idea, like make sure you keep all the weird, stupid ideas because they might turn into something actually really cool. Let's see. Come at it from a variety of angles or points of view, which is one of my favorite things to do because like I love coming at it from the villain's perspective or from the best friend's perspective or you know, whatever, the brother's perspective. It just gives you like a fresh set of, oh, well, she would consider this, so they might do this. And
Yeah.
therefore you have a new idea. And then I think my last point on this, oh no, I have a, yes, my last point on this is just relax. Don't worry about what your ideas are. Don't worry about how dumb they are. Don't worry about how weird they are. Just write them down. No one else is going to see them unless you want them to. So just write down anything and everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think most of that I had too. I put, so set aside a block of time to create a list of artistic influences. I think you kind of talked about this in the past, maybe in our writer's block one. Think about stories that you enjoyed and what was it about those stories that you liked, and start writing those things down.
Yeah.
You know, what did you like about that Patricia Briggs story? What was it that made you go, oh, I love that? And write that down.
Yeah.
Was it a certain character or theme? Was it a plot twist? Was it a particular magic system? A breathtaking setting? And I'm not saying we're going to copy what that author did, but write down what you liked about it. Why did it capture your attention? What made you go, oh my God, this is the best thing ever?
Yeah.
And use that to spark ideas. Create a comprehensive list of things and play around with the elements that you've written down. Like you said, you know, you like to do bullet points, or if someone I think is using the index cards, this would be a time to, you know, swap around. I do it on my computer, so I have these big capital O, capital R's all over the place. This could happen. Or, oh, this could happen. And I've got ors all the way down with just different ideas of where that one thought could take my story. And it might be totally different ideas that could never work together, but one of those might spark where I want the story to go, or where I want the character to go, or whatever I'm brainstorming. Basics to think about are the who, what, why, when, and where.
Yeah.
When you're brainstorming. And the key is to break it down into smaller pieces. You know, don't get overwhelmed in this brainstorming phase going, oh my God, there's so much. Just write it down. Write it down and move on. You know, you might come back to that later, like you said, and say, that was stupid, I'm not going to use that. But it might be used in another book somewhere. Or, you know, you just don't know what, the whole point of brainstorming is to throw down all of those ideas. Don't block yourself from anything, because you don't know what that little nugget that might seem stupid might turn into. Just get it all down. Next, we've got how to brainstorm / types of brainstorming. Yeah. And I'll start with this, and then you can fill in with what you've got.
Sure.
Okay. So we've kind of talked about this already. Write snippets on Post-it notes or index cards. You can rearrange them. Print and paste pictures into a document. Like for me, I do things online. So, you know, I find things on Pinterest or on the internet, and I like the look of that setting. I'll see a fantasy DeviantArt is a really good place to do that, and I'll copy and paste it for my personal use only. I mean, obviously this is someone else's artwork, but it sparked something in my brain, and so I will put it into my document, and then I'll print it out. I like hard copy too, but I also save it into my computer. The storyboard you talked about, I didn't go into that, but it's just a scene or concept in your book, and I'll let you talk about that one.
Sure.
Think about the chronology or the timeline of your book. We've talked about this in one of our episodes before too, with when is this going to happen? You know, in brainstorming, you're just writing down things that happen. You can worry about later, oh, this has to happen before here, or, you know, this won't work because it would make a plot hole or whatever, but just get timing issues down, just timing thoughts down, scenes down. Use large regular size paper, like you said, or markers. The what if, that we were at one of our seminars, it was either Dragon Con or it might have been one of the Atlanta seminars, I don't remember which, but the speaker, it was a woman, but I don't remember. She was talking about ask what if, and then follow that down that path. So that is a lot of brainstorming, is the big what if.
Yeah.
And, you know, so my big capital O, capital R, that's the what if, whoa, what if this, or this could happen, or this could happen. So
Yeah.
you ask that, and then you can use mind maps or flow charts. There's a lot of ones online, but the ones that I found that were free only were limited to 3. And that isn't useful to me. And I didn't want to go in and play with them to the point where I needed to pay for them. But
Right.
it's something for our listeners to consider. It might be worth the $5 a month or whatever it is to be able to have unlimited mind maps if that's something that works for you.
Right.
What I'm going to do for our people is I'm going to post this on our website, and I'll put it into PDF format, but it's brainstorming basics. So basically, and I know it's hard to see on the screen, I'll have it on our website, but first things first, it has a block for your novel idea, setting, time, place, inciting incident, plot points, rocks that you're going to throw, characters. This is the first place, what am I going to brainstorm about today?
Right.
Fill this out and then say, you know what, I'm going to brainstorm my main character. And then we'll have another page that helps you brainstorm your main character. Or I want to brainstorm my inciting incident or the setting. I need a magical place that has large mushrooms, like in frickin' it's my second one, Dern Dragons has a city with large mushrooms. And so I'm going to brainstorm that today, and it'll have, so I'm going to post this as soon as I can get it completed, just as a starting point for you. It may not work for you all, but it might help. And so I'll put it out there.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
And then the plot generators that I always talk about.
True. Yeah.
They just really spark ideas. I mean, and sometimes they're really silly, but it still opens up your mind to turn a different corner and see something from a different point of view.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So what else did you have?
So you covered a lot of that, but I do have like different types of brainstorming, and within those types of brainstorming, tips about kind of how to go about it. So the first one was the Post-its, which seems to be a pretty popular one because you can write whatever on one and move it around as you need. So, I have here, write words, phrases, stories, or anything that comes to mind on individual Post-it notes or index cards, and secure them to the wall or lay them out on your table or your floor or whatever in a random order. It doesn't matter. For 20 minutes, keep adding as many thoughts that come to mind about your subject, no matter how ridiculous. After you finish, group the notes that are kind of similar to each other with each other, so you can group them up and kind of see which ones belong in which group, and set aside any notes that are kind of extraneous, that kind of don't belong. And then spend 20 more minutes adding notes to individual groups. So now you've got your individual groups and you can add more thoughts to specific groups that you have. Organize those groups into a logical order along the wall or table, and you can kind of start to see, chronologically, like you were talking about, where those events or thoughts are supposed to happen within your story. The next one I have is a story web, which I think is more along the lines of like a flow chart. So you have your idea in the center, and then you branch out, and you have these things that are related to your main idea, and then you can branch out from there and things that are related to those ideas. And that kind of gives you just like a huge web of information, and can kind of help you brainstorm, what's your world like? What's the magic system like? What's your main character like you were talking about?
Yeah.
And then let's see here. Oh yeah, you mentioned storyboarding, which I thought was interesting because I use pictures a lot, but I don't use them really to storyboard. I more use them for inspiration. But this is like, if you think best in pictures, which some people do, use a storyboard to brainstorm your book. So if your book is a travelogue or a memoir, I know we're urban fantasy specific, but you can use a combination of drawings or pictures as an excellent way to like organize your thoughts. So, this is what my character looks like. This is what she wears. This is where she's going to go next. She goes to this house, and you find pictures of that house. And so these are rooms in the house, and this is the furniture in the house, and this is the color scheme. And then she goes to this park, and you have pictures of that park and all of that. So I think that was a really interesting idea to me because I'd never really thought about it like that.
I like that idea a lot.
I do too. And it's because, I do use pictures for inspiration, but I've never thought to put them in an order. In terms of like chronologically for your story?
No, these are pictures that I think Beck looks like, or these are pictures of, like I said, the Mushroom City. I never thought about using them for a storyboard.
No, me neither. And how neat is
Cool.
that?
That is very
Which,
cool.
you know, on Pinterest, you can, so I've got a Pinterest board for each of my books and each of my characters and that kind of thing. But you can move your Pinterest pictures to be in a certain order. So, you know, your main character can be up in your top left, and that's what you see as your thumbnail when you're going to your Pinterest. And then you can organize, well, this is your main character, so you've introduced her, and this is where she works, and this is where the main scene begins. This is where your opening scene is, and then kind of continue from there.
I like
So,
that.
yeah,
Interesting.
super interesting. I thought
Got
that was pretty
something
neat.
new to try. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see. There was something called a scatter shot, and apparently it's similar to the Post-it method, but it's more about like freedom writing as opposed to like writing down on Post-it notes. So yeah, use large or regular sized paper with colored markers and write as many things that come to mind with 20 minutes. So just on one sheet of paper, use colors, just free write however it comes to you. After that 20 minutes of writing down as much as you can think of, take a break, take a 20-minute break and walk away from it. Go do dishes, go for a walk, go watch a TV show, go read a little bit of a book, whatever, and then come back and repeat. And I think the idea is to kind of just get new thoughts and get thinking about things in different ways. And if you go on a walk, then you might see something that is inspiring or something like that.
I love that idea. I like the structure. It's 20 minutes. 20 minutes is up. I'm going to go do other things for 20 minutes. I love that structure, and I think that might help spark something.
I think so too, because like, I mean, I know we've talked about it, I think in the writer's block episode, how getting up and going to do dishes will let your brain relax, and so you might think of something without even thinking about it, you know?
Yeah.
If that made sense. I don't know if that made sense. But yeah, it gets your brain doing something different so that you might be able to come up with new ideas without even meaning to. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then just an important note after all of this is just keep your brainstorming notes organized no matter like which way that you do it. I love taking pictures of my whiteboards. That's how I keep all my notes. Like I can keep them in a log and I can organize them on my computer.
So you put them
that's
on,
how I keep them.
you take the picture on your phone, you put the picture from the phone onto your computer into a file.
Yeah, sometimes I retype them out depending on how I want to organize them. Taking a picture is like the surefire way to make sure I don't lose them.
Yeah.
But then other times, like I will type out those notes and put them in a chronological order or in a more visually appealing thing. Because my handwriting, it's okay, I can read it, but I can definitely type it out and read it better. So I will do that sometimes. But as long as you have like a record of it, that's the main idea.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of had that thought from brainstorming to the paper.
Oh,
organize your notes for that brainstorming session, just like you said. If you're a physical person, a hard copy person, use binder tabs and your 3-ring notebook if that's what you use. I happen to use those. If you're on the computer, you can do different folders and subfolders. If you're using Pinterest, like you said, you can have a Pinterest board with subfolders underneath that, which you taught me because I didn't know that before we started these podcast episodes. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, you need to get the most out of this brainstorming session that you've done. You did this for a reason, so you've got to make sure that it's saved somewhere that you can come back and work from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anything else?
I think that's all I've got.
Okie dokie. I had some general ideas to kind of get you thinking about brainstorming and that kind of thing that I thought were interesting.
Okay.
Which you mentioned, reading a book or watching a TV show can kind of help inspire ideas. Most of the time I'll sit down and watch a TV show and I'm not like trying to think about writing, but they'll say something or something will happen where I'm like, ooh, that was really interesting and I could twist it this way.
Yeah.
Or spark a completely new idea. Because I was playing actually a video game with my little sister Jordan, and it deals with like a ghost ship. Like there are ghosts on a ship, and I was like, that's a cliche concept, but there are ways that you can twist that around, and this is how. And so like it got me thinking about how can I use this in one of my novels, which I thought was really neat. This one was interesting, and I don't know that I would do it myself because I'm not. You'll understand. So it says go shopping. Buy something that your main character would like to buy.
I like to shop.
I know you do, but I am more frugal.
I like that idea.
So I think window shopping for me would be the way to go because I don't like to spend money. But I think going out and seeing, my main character would buy this shirt for sure. So I'm going to buy that shirt. It's going to remind me of that.
I think this is a great argument to use on your father. But honey, I'm writing my book and I need to go and buy something that Beck would buy. So I'm going to go buy this. I don't think that's going to go over very well with your dad.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you.
I'll tell him it's your idea. You're the one that gets him to do anything, right?
Oh, yikes. Big yikes.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, poor dad.
I know, poor dad. He has no idea.
He sure doesn't. Yeah, you can blame it on me. That's fine. I don't live there anymore.
This is true.
Oh, this one is something that we do all the time, and it helps me so much, and it gets me super inspired. We talk about our plots with each other. We bounce ideas off of each other. We use each other as springboards for brainstorming.
That is true. And sometimes, I mean, when you're over here in the summer, I remember last summer, we would go get our glass of wine or whatever it was, sit out on the deck in the sun and just prop our feet up and talk. And we would talk ideas and you're great to bounce things off of because you'd say, Mom, that's not going to work because this and this, you already said this was going to happen. I'm like, oh yeah. Right, so it is definitely helpful. I think we're very lucky to have each other. A lot of writers are in this kind of solo until they find that partner who writes like they do. Because, Daddy loves me and everything, but he doesn't want to talk writing with me. He doesn't really want to hear my plots.
Right.
To a point, he will. He gets excited up to a point, and then he's like, okay, enough, woman, let's move on. But I love having you. I look forward to when you come home in the summer and we sit outside with our drinks and in the sun and prop our feet up and
so good.
Yeah, we're out in the nature and we just talk our ideas back and forth and help evolve each other's plots. Yeah.
Yes, and it definitely gets me thinking about we talked about this, so that means I could add this idea and I could add this idea and it could work off of this idea because you mentioned this.
Yeah, and I'll do the or thing with you too. I'm like, you can do this, or you can do this, or you can do this, and some of them your face is going, no. But it does. It helps to have each other, and hopefully our listeners can find another writer of like mind to bounce things off of.
Maybe on Twitter, because you're right. The Twitter community is insane.
It is. It's amazing.
They're very helpful, and they're very much willing to follow and support and read your tweets and react to them and do all that kind of stuff. So absolutely.
I have come across so many really neat authors on Twitter, and I think maybe we ought to pick some and boost them in our podcast because there just are so many amazing authors out there that are struggling to try, and they're amazing. So that would be kind of neat.
Yeah, if there are any indie authors listening to this that have works out there, let us know because we'll pick them up. We'll we might read them and we'll give you a little boost and shout out. So let us know. Another tip was interview your characters. So have a list of questions and think about it in the mindset of your main character, which I've done before, and it's actually very useful. And a lot of the information I don't actually end up using, like my main character likes to paint because back in whatever, she saw a pretty picture and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not necessarily going to put that detail in my story, but it's something that I know and it could end up in the story. And it gets me thinking about why was she an artist and why did she choose to do this and why did she choose a career in this and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So even basic questions like what is your favorite color? That's something that we as the writer need to know about our character. It might never come up. Yeah. But it might be important later. So I like the interview format for helping brainstorm characters.
Well, and you mentioned the favorite color question, and I think that's interesting too because if my character's favorite color is blue, that's going to come out in how her house is decorated. That's going to come out in what color her car is. That's going to come out in details like that where you're not explicitly saying this is my main character's favorite color, but this is, and that inspires ideas about, this is how her house is decorated.
Yeah.
you know. So I think that's actually an interesting point. I didn't actually think about it in that depth before.
Okay.
Before this moment. So this was great.
Okay. Yay podcast.
Yeah. That's all I had though on general tips for brainstorming. So
all right.
Then I do have an interview question unless you have something else to.
I have nothing else.
All right. What is your favorite way of brainstorming now that we've talked about so many of them?
Yes. I would have to say looking at pictures. So really Pinterest.
Yeah.
Because you can type in, depending on what I'm wanting to brainstorm. If I'm wanting to brainstorm female elf characters, you type that into Pinterest and boy, you're going to get inundated. And then you can pin those pins that mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
That visual is my favorite thing. And so I really do like to look at pictures. I get so much kind of like visual writing prompts is what pictures do for me. It prompts something in my head. I start thinking about what does this picture mean and what could be going on and what is she thinking, and that's exactly how Beck would look if she did this. And so probably picture hunting.
I'd be interested to see what your storyboards end up looking like if you end up doing that method of brainstorming. It'd be super neat to see how you would do that, because like I said, I'd never really considered doing that before, so it'd be cool to see like an example of one. So if you do that, let me know.
I might have to try that for sure.
Yeah. My favorite way of brainstorming kind of goes back to our plotting episode, because a lot of my brainstorming does have to do with my plots rather than characters. I do character interviews and that kind of thing, but my favorite brainstorming technique is a plotting technique, and that's where you write down the scenes that you already have in your head. You already know some things that are going to happen in your book, so you write all of those down, and then you kind of go back and you kind of figure out how do those connect. So what are the events that need to happen to get from point A to point B? And those are my favorite, because it makes me see connections in my book that I didn't see before. It makes me realize like what the plan of attack is in terms of plotting out my story. It makes me realize what characters are missing. Do I need a character here to get from point A to point B? And that kind of thing. So it helps me generate a lot of ideas outside of plot in terms of characterization and characters and just there's a word for it. I don't know, but it gets the cogwheels turning in my head where, I can see my story more and I can see more aspects of my story that way. So that's my favorite way.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, how I always am talking about dead writer brain. I guess brainstorming is creative writer brain.
True.
Or sparking writer brain. I'm not sure. Okay. I haven't even been drinking, so maybe I should have been drinking. That might have been better. Let's see, where is my outro? I never can find it. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, guys. If you have brainstorming techniques that you want to share with us that we didn't cover, please let us know, because the storyboarding thing was new to me, so I would love new brainstorming techniques just to try, because I try them all. So
me too, because we all need creativity sparking at times. So yeah, I would love to hear everything that everybody does out there. Don't forget, we've still got free merch for people who leave us a review. There's so many places you can leave reviews now that we're on YouTube with video. You can do it there.
Sure.
We've got spiral notebooks, calendars, sticky notes. I'm thinking for our patrons, we might opt to give them mugs.
Oh, that'd be cool.
With our logo, because I've gotten one for you and one for me, but these are pretty sweet. They got the inside color, and I drank all my tea. But yeah, I think maybe for our patrons, we'll give some of those out. I'll have to look into doing that. Our website is eatdrinkwritepodcast.com. You can contact us there. You can find links to Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook there. Let us know what you think. If we're wrong in your eyes, tell us. We want to hear it.
I would love to be told I'm wrong. I just want to talk to you guys.
Yeah, me too. I love making this connection with other writers. It's exciting. Visit our Patreon, become a patron. That would be very, very helpful to us. Patreon.com/EDW. And we thank you guys for your support. Stay safe.
Yeah, thanks, guys.